right. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Hunting Beast Report. I am your host, Scott Biskobing. And no, fear not, I'm not solo tonight. I am joined by the man himself, Mr. Dan Infault, the Hunting Beast, back from Kansas, and lots of stuff to talk about tonight. So let's go ahead and bring Dan on. There he is. What's the good word, Dan?
I'm alive.
Just barely, though, right? You had quite a trip.
Yeah, it was exciting.
So, all right, let's take a dive into this because we chatted in great depth here. Well, we talked last week, and you had pretty spotty reception where you were at. So I wasn't able to give too much of an update on last show when we had Jeremy on. But you left on what day to head to Kansas?
A week ago from last Saturday.
Okay. So let's start there. You're heading to Kansas. You're driving down. What happens next?
So I was planning on going for as much as 2 weeks. I shouldn't even be back yet. But unless I got a buck, I was going to come back earlier. So we got to, I don't know, it's just past the center of Iowa. And I went with John Kitcha, the guy that's in my bear DVDs,
Mm-hmm.
bear videos, and his friend, Greg. And they drove in their truck and I drove in mine. I was going to go a few days early because I couldn't stand that they couldn't go till Saturday and I could leave like Wednesday or Thursday or something. But
Sure.
probably better if we all drove together. And John kind of pushed me that direction. So he drove, he was leading the way and I was following. And we're going down the expressway. And all of a sudden, there's like this, you could just feel a surge in the truck and it just loses power and the engine light comes on, it's flashing, and the track off light comes on, and I got it floored and I'm slowing down and I'm like, what the heck? So I call John and I tell him, hey, there's something wrong with the truck. And I'm able to keep going. I get it up to about 30 floored. It's not revving, but I got it to the floor and it's going 30. The engine ain't making noise or anything. It's just
Yeah.
going 30.
It's like in limp mode or something.
Yeah, it's like it's got no power.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't coughing, gagging, or anything. It was running fine, just couldn't get over 30. And the engine lights flashing. And so we pull over and we open the hood and there's a new noise, like a ticking noise, tick, 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 coming from behind the engine, like right in front of the steering wheel, in between the engine. And it was pretty loud. And John's friend Greg is kind of like a hobbyist mechanic, and he says, that's a vacuum leak. I said, sounds kind of like a tick. And he goes, nah, he goes, that's a vacuum leak. I'm like, okay. And so we start feeling around for vacuum leak. We can't find it. It's down in there somewhere. So we can't find it. So it's Saturday midday now, and we're like, ugh, is there a garage around here or something that's open? So we start Googling and stuff, and we find a garage, and we drive and drive and drive and get to this garage while I'm going 30. And we get there, and guy comes out and looks at it, and he says, I can't really help you. We're going to close at noon. We won't be open till Monday. And he goes, sounds like you got a vacuum leak. He says, and you need to find out what's going on with the engine light and stuff. Go down to O'Reilly's, get it scanned. I ain't got time. So we go to another garage. Get basically the same thing. The guy says, I can't help you. I'm done at noon. He says, I could maybe look at it. I don't have no Toyota parts. I don't have the tools for this vehicle because it was a Ford dealership that I pulled into.
Sure.
He goes, I'll tell you what, you should probably go to Toyota. And I go, where's Toyota? And he goes, Des Moines is the only Toyota around, which was like over 50 miles from us. And so we drove to O'Reilly's and we had the truck scanned. And the guy come out to scan it and he says, sounds like you got a vacuum leak. Starts looking around, he can't find a vacuum leak. To me, it sounded like a ticking, but He says three mechanics said it was a vacuum leak. So, anywho, he scans it and it says that cylinder 5 misfire. So he says, well, I don't know what you could do. You could probably change the spark plug, change the coil pack, see if that does anything. You use easy fixes. So, just so happens that cylinder 5 is the only cylinder that's exposed. Rip the engine apart to get at. So, I had a few tools along, and we were able to borrow some from the guy. He was pretty cool. Didn't even rent them, just borrowed them to us. So we took the coil pack off, took the spark plug out, and the spark plug looked pretty bad, honestly. So we go in, and it says, I'll take a spark plug and a coil pack. And he says, okay. So he gets the book out, and you look it up, and it tells you exactly what spark plug to use for that truck. I mean, right down to it tells you the bed length in the truck, to
Right.
what spark plug you use. So we get that spark plug, and he says, there's a cheaper one you can use. I go, I want the exact one that we need for that truck. Okay. So we get that spark plug, put it in, want a coil pack. He says he doesn't have one. He looks around for us, and he says, there's no place in this whole town that has one. It looks like you're going to have to get one from Toyota if you get one. So I'm like, all right. So we put the truck back together, start it up, it runs fine. All right. So we take off. Maybe it was the spark plug. We're watching, right? I get about 5 miles and blows back out. Just poof, engine lights on, tracks on. Okay, that ain't what it was. But we know that it reset.
Yeah.
So I pull over, I turn it off, just let it sit there for a few minutes, I turn it on. Hey, it runs fine. So we take off a little ways, it dies again. So then we call Toyota. And we say, there's now it's in the afternoon, everybody's fucking closed. So I'm like, sorry about the F-bomb. It annoys me. So I call Toyota, and the lady behind the counter says, I said, are you guys, is your service department open? She says, yes. I says, I'm having engine problems. I kind of explain it to her. And I says, I'm on the road on a travel trip. She goes, oh, just come on in. She goes, they don't have any trucks in the bay, and there's 4 tech guys, and they're here to 4. They'll be glad to just look at your vehicle and see if they can figure out what it is. I says, okay. So we nurse this thing 50 some miles all the way to Toyota. And as we're going, it just keeps popping out. And what I learned to do was to throw it in neutral. It's a stick shift. Turn the vehicle off, turn it back on, then throw it in gear, and it would reset itself. So then I could run, then I could drive. And I'd have to do this, maybe it would get 200 yards. Maybe it would get a mile. Maybe it would get 5 miles. But I'd have to keep resetting, especially if I was going uphill or any kind of torque on the engine. So we finally get to Toyota. The bay doors are open, and there's 4 mechanics in there, and they're in a truck in the bay, in service bay.
Yeah.
So we pull up to these guys. I get out of the truck, and I look at these guys, and the first thing that I'm taken back by is, you'd think at Toyota, you'd think they have the best techs in the world. They're $100,000 vehicles nowadays, right? You think
easily.
they have the top techs, When I looked at them, the first thing that took me back was they all looked like they're about 20 years old, except for one of them that looked like maybe 30. Well, the maybe 30-something comes over by me, and he says, can I help you? And I says, yeah, I'm having some engine problems. I was hoping you could look at the truck and see if you could figure out what it is. And he goes, you got an appointment? I said, yeah, I called down here. I talked to he goes, you got to have an actual appointment. He goes, we can't help you. We're all busy. Everybody's working on stuff. And I'm looking at these guys are sitting on chairs, drinking coffee in a truck in the thing. And he says, we're all busy. We got work into midweek next week. And I said, I talked to the lady behind that runs the service department, and she said that you guys could take a look at this. I said, I'm trying not to be, difficult, but I'm on the road, and I'm 350 miles from home. I had to nurse it here because she told me you guys could look at it. I said, I'm not asking a lot. Can you just take a glance at it? I'm sure you've ran into this issue before. And
Right.
he goes, no, first of all, he goes, I'm not certified to look at trucks. I just take the orders when people come in here. All the guys that are certified are busy and they're not going to come over here and look at this because they got their jobs in order. So, I mean, my hands are tied. There ain't much I can do. I can't just say, well, screw you. I'm going to go someplace else.
Yeah.
It's the only place I left, you know? So I says, okay, when can you look at the vehicle? And he goes, well, I could help you out and look at it Monday or Tuesday. I'm like, okay. He goes, I'm going to tell you right now, it's $200 an hour to look at it, just to give it an assessment. I'm like, okay. You got me by the balls.
Yeah. Right.
All right.
What else can you do?
Right. So, okay. I guess I'll just go rent a vehicle. So we start calling rental agencies. They're all closed. They all closed Saturday afternoon in Des Moines for whatever reason. So I can't get a hold of any. So luckily that Greg guy, John's friend, knows a little bit about autos and stuff, travels a little more than I do, like the normal way without taking the short bus across the city. So he says, Dan, I think they got an airport in Des Moines, and airports have 24/7 rental vehicles. I'm like,
Right.
okay, look up the airport. So he Googles Des Moines Airport, and he goes, yeah, there's one. It's like 50 miles back the way we came from. Okay. So we call there and we get Enterprise. So I tell them I need a vehicle, and they're like, no problem. What would you be okay with an SUV? I'm like, yeah, that'd work. So they're like, okay, we'll rent you an SUV, and just come down. And she takes all my information. Come down and get this SUV. Okay, so we drive an hour the wrong way to get this SUV. We get there, and you can't. It's an airport, so you can't park out there. And there's a cop writing tickets. So John's got to go park. So as Scott knows very well, I do not function in airports. I don't even. If there ain't trees around, I don't even know what to do.
That's
So
a true story.
I tried explaining that to Greg, and he kind of understood it because he's older than I am. And Greg says, I'll go in with you. And at this point, really, I wasn't even sure what Greg's name was. Now I know it's Greg. I mean, I'm just really meeting the guy. He's John's
Right.
friend.
That's true.
I'm asking
Right.
him to bring a friend along.
Yeah.
So, and he drove in John's truck. So, you know what I mean? So this is
Right.
really my first getting to know him. Can you come in with me? Yeah, okay. So we go in there. I walk up to the counter, and first thing she says is, oh, I got something nice for you. We got you a brand new Nissan straight off the car lot. It's brand, and I'm thinking, oh, brand new vehicle. I'm going to Kansas where there isn't even paved roads. And when you drive into mud, it's like clay. It just sticks. The last time I took my truck down there, it took me a year and a half to get all the mud off of it. And I'm thinking, jeez. And then I'm thinking, if I tell her to give me something old and banged up, she's not going to want to rent me a vehicle.
Right.
So I just said,
Gonna throw some red flags
you got
up.
the insurance that comes with it that covers anything I do to the vehicle? She goes, yeah, we got that. It's $13 a day, which seems a little high when you're talking, a week. But all right, what does it cover? And she starts going through this stuff, and I'm just kind of doing this number until she hits mud, and then I'm like, yep, I'll take it. So she gets everything filled out. She's got everything ready, and she says, okay, we're all set. Just need your credit card. So I pull up my credit card and I hand it to her, and she goes, this isn't a credit card, it's a debit card. I says, so? She says, so rental agencies do not take debit cards for auto rentals. I said, that's all I have. And she goes, you do not have a credit card? I says, I pay for everything I buy. I don't do credit. I said, I've got $8,000 on that card. She says, doesn't matter. You could go home and you could take all the money out of there. She says, it's a policy. I can't bend it. I'm sorry. I can't rent you the car. So again, my hands are tied. So I look over at John's friend, and I'm like, what'd you say your name was? He says, Greg. You got a credit card, Greg? And he goes, yeah. I'm like, I hate to do this, but I can pay you cash when we get back to my house. I can get it out of the safe and give it to you. And he's like, I guess we got no other choice. And he hands the lady his credit card, and he rents the vehicle for $900.
Jeez.
So we take the new Nissan, and it was brand new, spotless. It had 1,000 miles on it, and for whatever reason, they drove it from Wisconsin to there. But it was a brand new, straight off the lot. It still had stickers on it and shit. So
God.
we drive down to Kansas, and where we're hunting and stuff, we don't have any kind of like good cell service and stuff. So you got to drive to town to call. So midday, we go to town, and I see I got a message from Toyota. It says it's an email. It says, we want to thank you for using Toyota service. We have a tech assigned. His name was Eon, which just that name even throws me off. So Eon will look at your car on Friday and assess damages and then fix it. I'm like, Friday? He told me Monday or Tuesday. And John is leaving Saturday. So we rented the car to Saturday. I'm like, I can't have him just finally look at the car on Friday.
Right.
I'm irritated. They told me Monday or Tuesday. So we stop at a restaurant and to get something to eat, just mainly so I can make these phone calls. So I call Toyota, and I get that lady again. And I says, hi, the service department lady. And I says, hi, I brought my truck down there, blah, blah, blah. The tech told me that it would be looked at on Monday or Tuesday. And I said, I got an email from you guys saying Friday. And she goes, well, let me put your tech on the phone, Eon. I'm like, okay. She goes, I can see him sitting over at his chair. I'll just transfer you. So the phone rings, goes to the answer machine. So I leave a message. So I got to sit there and wait because I can't drive away.
Right.
So I'm waiting. Doesn't call back. So I call the number again. Lady answers. I says, Eon's not answering his phone. I really need to talk to him. And she says, well, I can see him there. I don't know why he's not answering his phone. I go, well, he's not answering his phone. She goes, okay. She goes, Eon, pick up your phone. Real professional place, right? So Eon picks up his phone and goes, what? And I says, hi, I'm Dan Infalt. I'm the guy who brought the blue Toyota. He goes, yeah. I said, you told me you could look at the vehicle on Monday or Tuesday. He goes, yeah. I said, you sent me an email. He goes, I didn't send you an email. I go, Toyota sent me an email that says you're looking at it on Friday. He goes, why are you bothering me? I told you I was going to look at it Monday or Tuesday. I go, because you sent me an email that says Friday. And he says, I said Monday or Tuesday. I'm like, okay, just wanted to make sure. So I'm getting pretty annoyed here,
Yeah.
So we go back to hunting and stuff. Tuesday comes around, and I get a call from Eon. Eon says, I got good news for you. I says, you do? He goes, yeah, I fixed your truck. I says, you did? He says, yeah, I did a scan on it. And it says the cylinder 5 misfire. He says, so I checked the spark plug, and he goes, it looks like you bought a brand new spark plug? I go, yeah. He says, well, it's the wrong one. And he goes, I put the right one in there, and now it runs right. So I said, well, I got the spark plug that the Toyota manual says to put in there. We looked it up at the
O'Reilly.
At O'Reilly's, and the O'Reilly's guy pointed out that was the plug, and we had already looked it up, and that was the plug, and it's the exact match to my truck. And he goes, yeah, that's probably what they recommend, but that's not what I put in. Here we use such and such plug. And I go, okay, but that's what Toyota recommends. And you think that's what the problem was? He goes, I don't know, but your truck runs fine. I go, so did you drive it around? He goes, I drove around a parking lot. I said, did you read my service report? He goes, what service report? And I'm like, the service report I had to fill out so that you had the information of what's wrong with the vehicle. He goes, listen, they tell me the engine light's out. So I checked the vehicle for the engine light out, and I did a scan and stuff. And he goes, I did $300 worth of work, an hour and a half. I said, you did what my service report would have already did for you. I did all that stuff. I just needed you look beyond that. And he's like, listen, your truck's running great. I go, if you run it 5 miles, I guarantee you it's going to pop out. He goes, what do you mean pop out? I go, it's in the service report. It pops out.
Yeah.
And he's like, what? I go, it loses power. He goes, nobody told me this. You're charging me $300 and you don't even know what's wrong with my vehicle? So at that point, he says, listen, I ain't got time for this crap. I don't know what's wrong with your vehicle. I have no freaking clue. He goes, if you want, I can just start ripping stuff apart, putting it back together. He goes, but you're paying me $200 an hour to do it. I said, you know what? Just park it on the side and I'll deal with it Saturday. Just don't even touch it. So at that point, I called Paul and I said I wanted to rent a dolly to haul my truck back. So they asked me what I'm hauling. I tell them. They're like, nope, can't haul a truck with a dolly. I'm like, okay, you got a truck trailer I can use? Nope, can't do it with a truck. I'm like, what can you pull with it? He goes, well, you could pull a small car. Can't pull a truck. I go, this is a small truck. Look, doesn't matter. It's our rules. I go, the truck that's pulling it is rated to pull that much weight.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is, but our insurance company doesn't allow it. I'm like, all right. So I hang up with them, and John was insisting that I just lie to him and tell him I'm towing a Prius. They won't see the vehicle anyways. And I'm like, nah, I'm not going there. So I call my mechanic in Jefferson, who I don't know how to say this in a nice way, but he's just an oil technician. He owns an oil shop. They change oil. But he's a great mechanic, and he helps me with a lot of stuff.
Sure.
But he's not he doesn't own a garage that fixes cars. But as an oil change place, this guy has done major engine repairs for me. He's a great guy. So I call him up, and he also owns a car lot, a used car lot. And I said, hey, I'm having these problems. I told him what was going on. And he says, really, what's it doing here? How's it doing this? How's it doing that? And while I'm talking to him, he goes, okay, while I was talking to you, I Googled it, and here's what I found. And he pulls up all these sheets of people with the same problems and how they're resolved. And he goes, I know what we could do. We could do this, that, and the other thing. It'll work. I'm like, okay. I said, and I told him about Toyota, and he goes, don't let those guys work on the vehicle. He goes, I wouldn't let them change my oil. Obviously, right? So I'm like, well, how do I get the vehicle to you? He's like, well, the best thing you could do is ship it to me. I'm like, okay, I'll look into that. So I get off with him, and I Google ship vehicle, and a whole bunch of websites come up. And the top website that comes up, I figure that's the one that's probably used the most. So I click on that one, and it has a get an instant quote thing. So I fill in all my information into this thing and hit send, right? And what I don't realize is it sends it out to everybody in the country who ships vehicles or world maybe, right?
Yeah.
And suddenly my phone is just blowing up. Ding, 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 ding. I'm getting emails and texts because it asks for my email. It asks for my text. It asks for my phone number. So my phone's ringing, texting, beeping, emailing. And I'm like, what the heck? So now I can't even keep up with my messages or anything because there's so many coming in. I don't know who's coming from what or, really getting annoying. So I take the first one and I open it up from a company called Monetary. And it says, we'll tow your vehicle from Des Moines, Iowa to Jefferson, Wisconsin for $400. I'm like, you know what? That's pretty reasonable. I thought it would be over $1,000.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't know, maybe my luck is changing. So I call. And I call directly to India. And I get some Indian on the phone. Are you looking to tow? Hang up. What the heck? I'm like, this must be a scam.
Yeah.
So I open up the next message. And the next message is We will tow your vehicle anytime, day or night, whatever time you choose, within 12 hours for $250 to Wisconsin. I'm like, now I know it's a scam.
Right.
The gas wouldn't be. You couldn't find a truck driver that would do it for that, even if you
Yeah.
take the gas out of there or anything. So I'm like, that's a scam. So I call back my mechanic. Just imagine how much time this is taking while I'm trying to hunt, right?
Yeah. No
Call back
kidding.
my mechanic, and I'm like, this is what's going on. And he says, oh, Dan, those are scams. What you have to do is use a company we use when I ship vehicles here. He goes, we use a company called U-Ship. I'm like, okay. He goes, just use them. They're certified. You can trust them. I'm like, okay. So I Googled U-Ship. I find U-Ship. It's got the same kind of thing where you got to fill out a form and tell them all your information,
Yeah.
and they send you a quote. So I send it to them, and I get an instant quote back within a couple minutes for $660. And I thought, well, that's not bad. I thought it would be over $1,000.
Yeah.
$660? Okay. I don't really want to give up $660, but it's better than what I thought I'd end up with, right? So I didn't pay it immediately. I just thought, well, I got some crap I got to get done. I got to get out in the woods. I got to do this, that. But so I put it off for a little while. Then we go to town midday or whatever, and the first thing I do is pay that. That's eating on me. I've got to get that done so I get this thing shipped, right? So I pay it, and then I got to clear my phone because I got number one. They said they'd get back to me for the information where to ship from to and all that crap, and I can't even find that stuff because I'm still, and right now, I don't know if you hear it in the background, my phone's on vibrate. You hear it buzzing it constantly. It's
Yeah.
all shipping places still.
Oh my God.
It's popping up on my TV and everything else for me Googling it
Yeah.
everywhere. It's just driving me nuts. So, anyways, I start deleting these messages, right? And I see U-Ship sent me some more messages. So I'm like, oh, they sent me a message like an hour after they talked to me. Maybe it's important. So I open it up, and it says, I see you didn't ship your vehicle at our $660 rate. Would you ship it for $625? Oh, Jesus Christ. So I zip that one out of there. Then the next one, open it up. Would you do it for 550? Then would you do it for 500? And I didn't even want to open anymore and see how low it went.
Right.
So I delete all that stuff, and then they call me up and they got all these stupid questions. And then when they get done, they say they got to find a place to ship for me, right? Well, then they finally call me, and it's like constant messages. Like they can't ask all the questions at once. They send a message like, what is your VIN number? Now I got to figure out how to find out what my VIN number is, while I'm not at my truck.
Right.
Like, we got to have the address of the place you're shipping to. Can't you Google it? And then she calls me and she says, what's the address you're shipping from? I said, it's Des Moines, Toyota. She goes, that's not an address, it's a place. I says, well, can you Google the address? She goes, I need you to give me the address. So I'm on the phone, I can't Google it. So I look at the guy next to me, that Greg guy, and I'm like, can you Google Des Moines, Iowa, Toyota, and tell me what the address is? He Googles it, so I'm reading the address, and she goes, yeah, that's what I got too, because I just Googled it. It was just a nightmare. So, and then I had to do the same thing with the company that she got, which, by the way, she calls me to tell me she finally found a company to ship it. The U-Ship company, one of their certified companies. And guess who it is?
The one from India.
The first people I talked to from India. Really. So I took the $400 price and I paid $660 for it. It's just crazy. And the truck still isn't shipped. It's supposed to ship tomorrow morning, I guess. But it ruined my whole trip. And then, yeah.
So, yeah, we talked about the story this morning. And what did I say to you? I'm like, I think we're going to need to take a break here. I need to take like an Ativan or something like that. Like the amount of anxiety, like just listening to this story. And I'm like, how could you even focus on hunting in the midst of all this shit? Like, that's just crazy.
It was pretty crazy. I was able to just and I have a knack for this. I can just shut things out.
Yeah.
whether
Yeah.
it's
Well, you have to.
pain from my back being out, or it's somebody very angry at me or something that shouldn't be, or you're in a fight or something. When I get in the woods, I just shut everything out, and it's just hunting. I just try to do that. I might make a deadline, like I got to get out of the woods and deal with this at this time. But until
Yeah.
that time, I just put it out of my mind.
Yeah. Well, that's the best place to try to do that. That's for sure. But just unbelievable. So, and at this point, it, like you said, it won't be here until tomorrow, right?
Mhm.
And
And it still ain't working, so
it still isn't fixed yet either.
it's gonna be
Yeah.
shipped here,
To
and
get
then it's
fixed.
fixed. Yeah, and I'm sitting here in peak rut with no truck to go run around the country in.
Right. Yeah, that is an absolute nightmare.
Oh, and by the way, in the midst of all this, Carol calls me up and tells me the rat slayer drove his vehicle into the side of my convertible, smashed the side of it in.
Icing
Talking on
on the
the phone
cake.
while he's driving, yeah.
Unbelievable. Is that how you're getting back and forth to work right now?
The chick
Yeah.
car.
Wow. So, outside of that, how was this actual hunting?
It was pretty good. In ways, and bad in other ways. So when I went down there, I had 4 spots in mind that I hunted last year that were very good spots that really were kind of overlooked by other people. Maybe some people got in there, but if you got there early, which is why we go the last week of October. Everybody goes there first week of November, second week of November, and then you're competing for spots. If you get there the last week of October, you're going on the spots. There ain't a footprint in there. Nobody's been back there at all season, and it's pretty good. So I knew 4 good spots from last year that I thought were going to be on fire this year. And we got there. We went to the first one. And the first one, I really wanted to get John set up because John is a couple of years older than me. He hunts his own property that's got ladder stands set up on it. And when he goes on travel trips, I know how he is because he comes with me bear hunting. He's not very good at setting up stands. He's got brand new knees, brand new hips and stuff. He's the bionic man. He's been rebuilt. And I know I got to help him a little bit. So I wanted to get him in a good spot where we could get him situated, get him a stand set up where it would stay good. And I knew this was one of the best spots. So I got him in there. I let him look around a little bit, kind of gave him some leads on where to go, but I don't like to tell somebody how to hunt because I want them to have the experience. So I kind of pointed him in the right direction, went in there with him scouting, and he ended up right where I would end up anyways, and set up a stand. I put it up for him because it was Titanic knees and stuff, but we got the stand set up, and he was good, and there was a ton of sign in there, and I knew it was going to be on fire. And then I gave Greg a lead to an area that was hot last year, and he went over that way, and I went to the absolute best spot, which we called the hole last year, where we saw a whole bunch of really good bucks in there. And when I got to the hole, there was not a track in there, and they had moved cattle all the way around it and just ruined the spot. So then I raced to the last spot that was really hot last year, and they were combining it right where I'd be hunting. So I had nothing, and I'd spent half the day, and now it's getting into the afternoon on the first day, and I don't even have a spot to hunt. So on the way, when I drive, what I usually do out there is I put Google Maps on and Onyx on my phone, and I watch the Onyx as I'm driving. And if I got Google Maps on, my Onyx doesn't turn off. It doesn't do that screensaver thing.
Yeah.
And I expand it to a point where I can watch the properties surrounding them to see if we're going by any, Weehas or Publix or anything like that. And when I see one, I check it out from the road, just look at it as I'm going by to where my destination is. And on my way to that last spot, I saw one where I saw standing corn. And it was off the highway a little bit. You could just barely see the standing corn from the highway. So when the last one didn't work out, I whipped around to that one, went in there. I got into a bunch of sign Saw a couple bucks, but nothing wanted to shoot. And nothing came even close enough anyways. But I ended up, long story short, I got into a couple spots, got in small bucks. I was really having a struggle getting onto deer. It was like the deer are spotty. They're not on every property, and you got to like look at a whole bunch of properties till you find groups of deer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
John was on fire. He had bucks going past him like crazy. I mean, he's even got the first night he had a pretty nice buck that I'm surprised he didn't shoot. Not that I would have shot it, I wouldn't have, but it was probably about a 115-inch buck, and it came in. Ended up seeing him in the tree and coming at him, looking at him, and this is all on film. He filmed it with his little handy cam out of the tree by hand,
Okay.
and the buck comes underneath him, staring at him, and I don't know what else was going on because he had a lot of deer around me, according to him. But you could hear other deer walking around, and the deer would look at him and then look at the other deer, and all of a sudden it snort wheezes really loud and just starts ripping up the ground, not making a scrape, but just like a bull ready to charge.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. And then one day by him, we had this. He was going to move his stand because he ran into this real big buck coming out at night, and we thought it was coming up from this ravine up above him. And we went out there to move it, and the wind was wrong for his stand, kinda. We got in there, and it wasn't really what we thought it would be. It was more blowing into the field where it wouldn't hit the deer, but we were still going to move it. And
Sure.
I'm up in the tree getting his stuff down, and he's at the base of the tree, and I look up, and there's a buck walking across the field towards us. And I go, "Hey, there's a buck coming. Look." So he starts looking, so I get my camera on, I start filming, and the thing's walking. I'm like, it's about to walk downwind of us, and it does. It walks right downwind, turns, and starts walking straight at John. I'm like, what the heck? And it walks to about 5 yards from him, just looking at him, tilting its head like this, looking at him, doesn't even care, just stands there for a while like he's waiting for a cookie, and then finally walks away. And I aim the camera down at John. I'm like, what the heck? And he's like, that was cool. But he ended up having a really nice shooter come by with a 4 or 5 inch drop tine, and it went by at 20 yards, and he couldn't turn to shoot. He said it was on his weak side, and he was sitting, and it was walking. He didn't feel comfortable about shooting it and not wounding it, so he didn't.
Sure.
And Greg had a 140 or 150 class buck come by, and
Nice.
right at the edge of darkness, and he got the full draw, and it walked into some corn, and in the corn there were shadows, and he said he would have been shooting at the body, not at a specific spot, so he let that one go. And then I got all the way to the last day, and I had found an area that had a whole bunch of big bucks signed in a field, and it had draws on both sides, and I felt good about it, but I didn't know what I would see. And I got in there, and the evening I didn't see nothing, and I thought, they got to be here sometime.
Yeah.
If they're not here in the evening, they're probably here in the morning. So went out for the last morning. I got in there right as it was just starting to get light out, and was in my stand by legal light. And man, I had just gotten in my stand, and I hear a twig snap behind me, and it was dead silent. Dead silent. I mean, if a nose hair fell out and hit the ground, you'd hear it. And, I hear this twig snap, and I look to my left, and coming through the pasture that I had just come through is a pretty nice buck coming. I'm like, holy crap, that's at least a 3-year-old, maybe a 4-year-old. Comes by, and it goes into the tree line next to me. So I turn my camera on and get it recording, and then I look down, and it's got a pretty black screen. And I realize I'm not going to have anything on film. You can just barely see the outline of the edge of the field. There's one part in the field where you could see a little daylight. And I'm like, oh, crap. So I knew I had to turn the aperture up. So I'm like trying to figure out which buttons to press, and I'm pressing buttons and stuff. And then finally, boom, all of a sudden I got light on the camera, because I hit the right button, that gives it a bigger aperture or whatever.
Right.
And I can see through it. And then I look forward, and that buck is already walking into my shoot lane. He's going to go right through it because he's cruising fast. And I could see he was an 8 frame, and he had some stickers on his G2s. Pretty good buck. He was tight, but real heavy, a lot of mass.
Okay.
Um, so I come to full draw, and as I'm drawing, it was, like I said, it was so silent out there, right? That he catches that draw, and you see him jerk like this, and his head jerks up to look at me as I'm coming to the full draw, and I just rushed a shot, and unfortunately, I hit him about 4 inches high and 4 inches forward, and went right above the shoulder blades, right through the shoulders. The arrow was sticking halfway out of both sides, and he ran off and broke the arrow in half instantly from the shoulder action. And I watched him run across the field. I was begging him to fall down. He got to about 100 yards and stopped, and then he dropped. And I didn't know if he fell down, if he laid down, or if he went into every place there's a tree line, there's a giant ravine. There's like creeks in them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what happened there. So I waited until I had good sunlight. I got down, went to where I hit him. There's no blood there, but there's a hunk of meat laying behind where I hit him. And I didn't find any blood till I got about 30, 40 yards. And then it was just very little specks here and there. And then I found out the side of the arrow that had the broadhead on it. And that had some blood on it. But I got to where I didn't find hardly any blood till I got to 100 yards where that deer was standing. And there was a puddle of blood there, but he was standing there for quite a while looking back at me. And then I lost complete blood, but it was obvious he dropped into that ravine. I went up and down the ravine, finally picked him up going straight up the cliff, which you know as well as I do, if a buck's hit fatally, he ain't going up a cliff.
No.
But I faithfully followed it and had to do some loops and picked him up in a cornfield. Followed him 8/10 of a mile till he left the property. And at that point, he was wandering. It even looked like he was going over to check scrapes. And he left the trail or left the property crossing a dirt road onto private property. And from that private property at 8/10 of a mile from where I shot him, I could see 3/4 of a mile of open field where that he walked into. And there wasn't no buck laying out there, so I gave up.
You just kept glassing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate. Yeah.
Yeah. So over of a week.
Right. So with that shot, so you would have thought, like, especially if it would have been a lethal shot, when that other side of that arrow that came out with the broadhead, now he's got 2 wounds, right?
Yeah.
In that, and if you're just getting trickles of blood, where exactly do you think you hit him? Do you think you hit him above the shoulder blades?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So high and forward. Yeah. Yeah. He'll likely be around for a while yet.
Yeah.
Which is, I guess, obviously kind of what you want as well. I mean, if you're not going to be able to recover it,
right.
Better than him rotting down in one of those ravines.
That was such an easy shot too. It was a gimp shot. It was 18 yards broadside.
Yeah.
How do you blow that?
It happens.
Yeah. I like to blame my equipment because when it's my equipment, I can fix something, but that was nothing but me. I just rushed that shot. Even watching that video, I was getting mad at myself because as I'm editing,
Mm-hmm.
because you can see how I just immediately release, like I'm in a hurry because the deer's staring at me,
Yeah.
And God, I'd like to redo that.
Yeah. We've all been there.
I've been there too many times.
Yeah. So, any chance you're going to make it back down to Kansas? Do you think do you have time yet this season?
I'd like to be down there right now.
Yeah.
I was supposed to be down there for 2 weeks. I'd like to be down there right now. There's a lot of turmoil going on at my work too, though. I mean, they're selling the building, and I don't even know what's going on with jobs or anything else. I mean, there's a lot of turmoil going on.
Yeah.
Everything's chaotic in my life right now.
Right. All that stuff makes it really hard. I mean, and the one reprieve we have is getting up in a tree stand, but it also makes it really difficult when all these other things in your life are kind of not aligned the way you want them to be. It makes it really, really difficult. I think most of us can relate to that in one way or the other, that when everything else isn't stable, it makes it tougher. But at the same time, like I said, there's that reprieve that the woods and that tree stand gives you for sure. So, well, hopefully you can make it back down there.
Yeah.
Hate to burn a tag like that. I mean, now,
We can't have all bad news too. And I just saw Avon Legend pop up on our chat. He shot a really nice buck.
yeah, you just chopped it, popped up right here. A little late getting out of the woods.
He just got a really nice buck.
Congratulations.
Congrats, Avon.
What do you know about it?
I know that they call him Avon because he sells Avon. He's got a little pink Cadillac. Yeah.
Do you know anything about this buck?
No, I don't. I saw him online with it, and I just said congrats to him,
Yeah.
and I'm sure I'm going to get the story out of him sooner or later.
That's awesome. Yeah, feel free to chime in if you got any details. So what else? What else we got going on right now? It's the rut, right? I mean, tomorrow's full moon. What are your thoughts on that?
Deer are going to
I mean-
be running around because they run around. I mean, it's
Right,
broad.
but do you ever get? I mean, does that make you feel any different? You know, when a full moon aligns perfectly. What tomorrow is the 5th, November 5th. I mean, I've had some of my best luck. The 5th, 6th, and 7th are usually historically some of my best days during the rut for me, anyways, in my area. But yeah,
It
Steve,
seems to be pretty historically the same days every year,
right?
regionally. It might not be exactly where you're at as what it is here,
Mm-hmm.
but like right here, you know that the last couple days of October and the first 4 or 5 days of November are when it's on fire. But
Yeah.
the last week of October is really good. But this is on fire. Where a lot of places it's later in November. Blah 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 blah. But I don't care what you do with the moon. I don't care what you do with the rain. I don't care what you do with the wind, with the weather, whether it's hot, whether it's cold.
Yeah.
Those days are the days to be out there.
Oh, for sure. I mean, there's no reason not to. I mean, if you can, by all means, you should be out there this time of year. I mean, this entire week, all the way through the weekend, we have a cold front coming in. On top of it, again, doesn't matter if it was going to be 65 degrees this weekend instead of 35 for a high like they're talking. Yeah, you should absolutely be out because caution is thrown to the wind with a lot of these bucks at this time of year. So
Right now, right here, and most places right now, you want to be where the does are. The does are where the bucks are. So I did take what I have for cameras this year, and I put a few of them on doe areas, and I've been watching them. And it's been nothing but does until about maybe 2 weeks ago. You started seeing spotty bucks, and now
2 weeks
right
ago
now,
already. Wow.
right now in the last few days, it's turned into good bucks, and in the last couple days, the big boys are showing up and just hanging on those does. So right now, if you're on doe groups in this area, you're on big bucks. I mean,
Yeah.
period.
I'm going to bring up this comment here real quick. Frisco 94 says, guys, I've got no scrapes, no picks of bucks. My whole area dried up. A real bummer of a season for me so far. What's your take on that? Because we actually talked about that a little bit this morning too. I was out this last weekend, and for 2 days, I didn't see a deer. My buddy was hunting on the other side of the property, and nothing. Where we had trail cameras set up, we had nothing. It was like, honestly, quite unbelievable for this time of year. We're talking the 31st on Halloween. I saw some younger bucks bird dogging some does around. But Saturday and Sunday was just completely dead. I saw a coyote early Saturday or Sunday morning, and that was it. It started ramping up now the last couple days. We've talked about this buck, the 6.5-year-old buck, Slickback. with the small rack with his antlers pointing backwards. He was cruising around on Monday. He must have hit four different cameras in one night at different times over the course of a 12-hour period. In that, he was just all over the place. But even that buck, where I would normally get daytime photos of him, he's completely nocturnal this year in terms of what I've seen on camera. And obviously, I haven't had any encounters with him yet this season. But again, if we're thinking he's at minimum 5.5, 6.5-year-old buck, he's getting smarter and picking and choosing, when he's going to show up on camera. But back to what was it? Frisco 94's comment there kind of goes along the same lines there. Do you have any thoughts or suggestions for Frisco?
Yeah, those bucks aren't everywhere. You got to go find them. Most people, for whatever reason, the common thing for people to do is lock onto a property that's good or a lease or something that they trust in.
Mm-hmm.
And quite often that's not where the buck is, at least not at the time that you're hunting.
Right.
And being a mobile guy and under mobile mindset, you go find them. I mean,
Right.
If I went to the properties, go back to Kansas that I trusted in where I thought the bucks were going to be, and I would have sat those properties the whole week, I wouldn't have seen a fawn. You got to be versatile. That's where I wanted to be, was those spots.
Yeah.
I got there, took a glance at them, never went back. They might be hot this week. Something could have changed. But you got to be able to move to the deer. So if the deer aren't where you're at, you got to get mobile and you got to go find them. And that can be hard. I mean, if a guy works weekdays, he's only got weekends and stuff, eats up some time. But that's what hunting is. It's not apples to apples for everybody. But for me, if my spots are dried up or I don't have a spot to go that's got action right now, I will go find the action. I'm going to keep moving until I find it or I don't find it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to keep moving and trying, because hunting dead spots is a good way not to fill tags.
What about those spots that you were checking out that you kind of had your heart set on while you were in Kansas turned you off?
No tracks, no sign.
Yeah, just lack of sign in general. Yeah.
I mean, some of it had the place that got combined. I waited till the combines were done. It rained and they stopped combining halfway through.
Mm.
I let it sit for 2 days. Went in there, and I found 2 scrapes and 2 rubs that were spindly and little rubs. I think 1 set of big tracks in muddy fields, and it was like, that is not enough sign. 1 buck in there that's worthy of shooting came through there 1 time in the last week or 2. No. So when I went to a property and it had a field that didn't have no scrapes, didn't have no rubs, but it had some scrapes leading into it. It had some rubs leading into it, but that area had a lot of tracks. So it looked like, gosh, there's got to be a big buck coming through here at least every day. Just based on tracks, that spot I hunted. I didn't see nothing the first day. The next morning I shot one. There was another spot where I saw a bunch of big tracks. I saw 1 scrape, 2 or 3 rubs. I sat there. I had 1 buck come through that was like a little tiny 8-pointer. And I would have been happy to sit that one morning too. But I didn't. I never ended up getting over there for a morning. But those are kind of the iffy spots. Now you get in a spot that's just tore up. A lot of big sign, a lot of big tracks. And right now, if there's a doe group in an area and you start getting a lot of big rubs and scrapes around that area, well, that tells you that there's big bucks competing for those does. That's someplace you want to be. So right now, you're pretty much looking for sign.
Yeah.
They're laying down a lot of sign, and it better be fresh. But this is only going to last a week or 2, and then all of a sudden it's just going to dry up again. And then it's going to get hard again. And there's still going to be some rut activity, but most of your sign's going to be old. It's going to be hard to find fresh sign, and you're going to have to kind of rely on, where you think doe groups are and stuff.
Yeah.
But right now, you can really kind of look at hot sign and set up on it. It's a
In
good time
your
to be out there.
right. In your opinion, do you feel like most of the scraping action is kind of, for the most part, done with by the end of this weekend? Would you say?
Uh, I don't know. Not
I
really.
mean, I feel like a lot of the scrapes
Most of
open
it,
up
you're
because
going to have the highest percentage of it going on this week.
yeah.
For sure. Um, this week and the week before, and then it's going to start tapering down. But
Hmm.
it'll keep going on. I mean, I've found scrapes in January already when they get heated up over fawns and stuff. It's you never know. But there's a peak period now, and right now they're laying down a lot of sign wherever they're going. If there's any kind of competition, even just because they're frustrated with the does. I mean, you look at where John was hunting, and the sign there wasn't real heavy, but there's sign there that showed you that deer were coming. But where he was standing to climb his tree, he hunted the same tree the whole week. And when he was standing where he was standing to climb the tree, it was matted down from him setting his stuff there. On like the second from last day we're there, we go in there. He hunted till 10, and then we went to town, and we come back at 12:30. And where he stands, a buck made a giant scrape and pissed in it. There's fresh piss in it, and there was tracks like that and marking him. You know, they lay down a ton of sign. Any place they find any kind of like
Variable.
challenge, like
Okay.
another
Or okay.
or a doe that's frustrating them, they're leaving sign. I mean, he had a buck come in, look at him in the tree, see him up there, snort, wheeze, and then rake the ground, not making a scrape, rake the ground and look at him again and then walk off.
Hmm.
Probably the same one that put the scrape under his tree.
Right.
But that was on day one. On day, like at the end, they scraped under his tree. But right now, they're just laying down a ton of sign where we're going. So if you ain't got no sign, your area's dried up. What are you doing there? Just keep moving.
Right.
Don't lock on a property. Don't even if it's your own property and you hunt it all the time and you're like, man, there's nothing going on right now. Well, okay, wait till it is. Let your property get fresh. Go hunt someplace else. Go find a sign.
Well, right. And depending upon the size of your property too, I mean, you might be on the wrong part of your property.
Correct.
There might be a different part of it. But just real quick, Frisco 94 chimed back in and he said, there have been a ton of coyotes in my area this summer. Do you guys think that could be the reason I'm not seeing anything so far? Me personally, I don't think that. Not this time of year. I don't think that plays much of a part. I mean, you'd have to have a ton of them, and they'd be really having to harass. But
It could. I mean, if they're driving the does out of there, if they're right there, yeah, it could.
yeah, I mean, I guess yeah. If there's a ton, anything's possible. So coincidentally, one of the areas, if we enter in from the north side of our property, there's a pole building right there. It's like a small little dirt driveway, and then there's a pole building. And historically, right alongside this pole building, there's kind of like this little grassy area, and then it butts up against some jack pines and that, some red pines. And every year there's a ton of scrapes. So the other day go back to my truck and I just want to go and check and look at these scrapes over here. I counted 18 scrapes within 80 yards.
Mm-hmm.
And just incredible. I'm like, all right, I got my buddy Mike. I'm like, you got that extra cell cam laying in the back of your truck? And he goes, yeah. I'm like, just set it up here. I'm going to see who's making these because they were all real fresh in that. And then I made another one on top of it. And I haven't talked to him yet to find out, if he's gotten anything over there. But I mean, that's a lot of sign in one area. And it's right by the road, right by a major highway, and right by a pole building. It's like, I'm always looking around like where, how can I hunt this spot? How can I get into this area here? Again, it's one of those overlooked. It's a fat girl spot, where you'd be seen probably from the highway sitting there in the stand I mean, Jeremy, we had him on last week, and we talked about one of his bucks that he was about 13, 14 yards off a road waving at the mailman in the school bus going by.
Yeah.
It was a fat girl spot. Yeah, it's just one of those things where you got to kind of be on the sign. And if you're not, if you don't have sign in the area, even if it's been historically a good spot for you, why would you waste your time there? That doesn't mean you find a scrape out there and that you need to set up
Or
a
a straight
stand right.
line.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you got to put a little bit of thought into why the sign's there too.
Mm-hmm.
So the sign that you find right now should be on top of does. So there should be does in the area. If there's no does in the area and it's pass throughs, I mean, this buck should be on top of does and laying down sign like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's going to be frustrated young bucks that run around everywhere.
Right.
Down sign, right? But when you see a concentration of multiple bucks in an area, it's because of a doe, and coming into heat. And those are the spots you got to be, is where those does are. So really concentrate on where you see those doe groups, and those doe groups don't seem to be changing. So like I said, I put a couple cameras out this year. I really wanted to experiment with what's going on in those doe groups, and put them in doe, at the edges of doe bedding areas and where they hang. And those cameras are going nuts with big bucks right now, and they had no bucks on them at all, or anywhere in the vicinity until now. And now they're all full of bucks. And it's just because of those does, and those does aren't moving. They're still staying there. They're right there. As a matter of fact, it seems like when rut comes, they stay there more. They lock real little tight areas. They don't want to move because if they go run around, they'll pick up more bucks. More bucks will harass them. So they try to stay in little tight areas. So you got to find that little tight area. Those bucks aren't going to be running around all over the place. The cruisers are the ones that don't have does, right?
Yeah.
Who do you think gets the does? The giant mature bucks that you want to kill.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that can't get next to the doe are the ones that get pushed off are the ones out looking. So if you're hunting the funnels, you're hunting the pinch points and stuff, you're hunting the smaller bucks. If you want the big ones, they're with the does. So you go find those doe bedding areas.
Sure. Yeah, makes sense. Got another quick question here from Mid-Michigan Outdoorsman. Dan, what draws you to Kansas instead of other states? What is your favorite part of Kansas?
What draws me to Kansas is a flip of a coin. I just like going into unique places. Kansas seems fun. It seems like you can get onto some bucks. You can have some good action. You can run around, don't have too much pressure. But it could be Kansas. It could be Illinois. It could be Iowa. Iowa's harder to get a tag. It could be Nebraska. It could be Indiana. All those states have good bucks, good hunting. I think the Kansas and Nebraska, those type of states are kind of fun because you're going to see a lot of deer because of how open they are.
Yeah.
So if you get into the deer, you're going to actually see them. Like I can hunt in Wisconsin and be on top of deer and never see them. Like I've had friends just recently where I'm like, hey, I got a camera on a doe group and there's this giant buck in there. Go in there and shoot it. Go hunt here. And they're 60 yards from the camera, and I got the buck on the camera, and they can't see it. Never knew it was there.
Wow.
So in Wisconsin and states that are thick like this, like say Michigan or Minnesota, you're not going to even notice those deer that are right next to you. They have to come under you to see them. Where in Kansas, you can see them forever, and then you can make a move. And it seems like out there's enough big bucks that everybody kind of manages. So there's a really good population breakdown of age class. And they seem to have a good skew going on with the number of does per buck, where the bucks have to move around a little to find the does.
Yeah.
But I will tell you this: there ain't the number of deer, not even close to what's in Wisconsin, but they're easier to get onto, if that makes sense.
Yep, absolutely. All right, I'm just going through trying to get caught up here. Got a lot of comments rolling in here now that we're talking rut. What what other things could you suggest and signs to be looking for this time of year during the rut, like in kind of in the meat and potatoes and in the peak of it here?
When you're looking for like the cruising bucks, when they're looking for does at doe bedding areas, one thing that gets a lot of people is they'll find a heavy trail and they'll find a big rub on it and they'll say this is the buck's trail. When in a lot of cases, that's the buck's cross trail. He's only using it during rut, so you hardly can see his trail. But when he
Okay.
crosses the doe trail, he marks it. You know what I mean? So if you're getting my gist, is you have to be covering that area because it's not he's coming up and down that doe trail. He's crossing that doe trail and marking it. You know what I mean? That's
Right.
one that a lot of people miss is that they go horizontal and they cross the doe trails. Like if you look at a feeding area where does feed in a, like say an open field, like a cut cornfield,
Yeah.
and the bucks don't want to come out in that open cornfield, what they do is they parallel that cornfield, say like 50, 100 yards in or so, and they go along the edge of it, and they'll check when the does would be in there feeding. So if the does are going to be in that field at night after dark, they ain't checking until after dark.
Sure.
But if those are coming in that field like an hour, 45 minutes before dark, they'll cruise that edge, and they'll stay in the cover, and they'll mark every doe trail going in there. So you'll see some trail going in there, some heavy deer trail going in the field, like you're walking the field edge, and you look and you go, oh, there's a big rub on this trail. Well, you better hunt the trail that's crossing that doe trail where the rub is, not
Yeah.
the actual trail that's on.
Not the heavy beaten down doe trail that's heading out to the field, right?
Right.
You're looking for that cross trail.
Right. And it's
Where-
not
where-
going to be as heavy as the doe trails because it's only used at one time a year for one reason.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I see that on the edge of the alfalfa fields quite a bit there. And then that's usually, you'll find, a few really big scrapes where they just absolutely tear it up. I mean, it's 6 foot by 6 foot. I mean, they just absolutely go crazy on it and ripping the branches down over the white pines and stuff. So yeah, that's a really good point. Let's see. I had a couple marked here. I'll have to find them again. What is your plan here? I mean, obviously we're waiting for you to get your truck back, but say you should get it back on Friday. Do you have any plans to hunt in Wisconsin here yet?
I don't know.
Or
Back and forth. I might go to one of these army bases for a little bit, poke around, see if I can get something, with the rut.
yeah,
Should be pretty crowded right about now, but might try something like that just so that I have an opportunity to maybe chase big bucks. Anything that puts me in the woods with a buck tag in my pocket, despite the odds, makes me happy. But sitting around pacing, staring out windows does not. If I get my truck back, I don't know what I'm going to do. I know I got a big to-do list, but I might just abandon it and run to Kansas again. I would love to get down there for a few more days. I just really want to get it done down there.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Should you not be able to get down there, like say this weekend here, do you have plans to go down there later on? I know you got some other hunts planned here for this year, but do you think you'd be able to squeak anything out down there or squeeze it in?
There's always that possibility. I do have a lot of stuff planned, though.
You do, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't really put myself out too freely and agreeing to too many hunts. I think sometimes, where it just spreads me out.
Yeah, it's hard to hone in and focus on one particular area.
Yeah, if I want to put more bucks on the wall, I got to kind of focus on where Dan wants to be.
Mm-hmm. Right. It's almost one of those things where you get it done here and then, okay, let's make the plan then to move somewhere else. And that instead of having all of those things, I mean, it seems like a good idea, right? But then it's like, I mean, have you been getting anything on camera here in Wisconsin while you were in Kansas?
Oh yeah, I could have killed several big bucks by now.
Yeah.
They're all over my cameras. They're driving me crazy. I got to get out in the woods and get them things out of the woods so I don't see them anymore. But I really don't hunt the cameras. I hunt the areas where you get a picture.
Right.
But man, they drive you nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Even driving around. I mean, just today I took Carol out to eat, and just driving to the restaurant and back. I mean, there's bucks in every field cruising. They're everywhere wandering around.
Got a question here from Tony Francis. I had a big buck mid-morning come in to some rattling. He turned off at 60 yards and didn't get a shot. Should I hunt that same stand tomorrow or should he move?
I would think about where that buck came from and where he wanted to go to, and probably move. I probably wouldn't go to the exact same spot. I mean, the buck never went over by you.
Yeah. Well, and something to consider too, he turned off at 60 yards. Could you see where he went? Are you sure he didn't circle and get downwind of you? You know, I mean, I don't know how thick of cover you're hunting in, but I mean, that's a possibility too.
Yeah, for me, like right now is a good time to rattle or to grunt or whatever, but I only do that as a desperation, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying I don't do it. I'm saying I only do it as a desperation move, as far as blind calling. And what I mean by that is that you don't want to take a good setup and call, because I've seen calling chase deer away a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe more than 50% of the time, you're spooking deer away rather than calling them to you. But you get a deer in the right mood, they come running right in. So I mean, if you're sitting on a fence line, knowing the bucks are on your neighbor's property, and it's like all these big bucks are over there, nobody's hunting them over there, but they got no reason to come over here. Well, you give them a reason. You get out the old desperation calls, right?
Right.
You try to drag them over. But as far as you think a buck is bedded here, or the doe group's bedded here, and the bucks are going to be here to check on it, then run in there and rattle and just blow your setup. The last thing I want to, if I think those bucks are there and I think my setup is right and I believe in what I'm doing, the last thing I want to do is announce where I'm sitting.
Yeah, that's true. I thought I just saw another question here. Oh, here we go. Matthew says, what's it mean to you, Scott and Dan, when you find a lot of scrapes within a 20-yard radius?
The first thing I would think is a couple young bucks competing against each other, probably. Yeah,
Yeah, that's a good point. And that actually might be the situation that I have over there, like what I told you over next to that pole building.
yeah.
That very well could be the case.
It could be that there's a doe in heat and a whole bunch of duck bucks, and some of them are really good or competing.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I think I'd need to know more than just there's a few scrapes there. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I've seen some areas that got a million scrapes and there ain't nothing big there. Matter of fact, one of the spots I hunted in Kansas, I went in there, I found some good tracks. I wasn't sure if it was good or not. I set up, and I saw a buck out of the corner of my eye across a field, and I knew it was a buck because it was cruising in daylight, midday, kind of. Just you could tell by the actions it was a buck, but I couldn't make out if it had a rack or not. It was, it was real fast.
Mm-hmm.
So I grunted to it, meh, meh, and then I put the grunt call away. Well, the thing circled around and came in from behind me, and it turned out to just be either a year and a half or a very small 2.5.
Yeah.
It came in busting branches, just ramming itself through brush. Went over and rubbed 3 or 4 rubs. Came in, smelled me, saw me, turned around to leave, but still so worked up from the grunting that he stopped and he worked 3 scrapes in front of me, and he made these scrapes the size of a car hood. He was throwing dirt 10 feet, and he made 3 scrapes in a row. And before I hunted there was zero sign except for the tracks. When I got done hunting there was at least 3 rubs and 3 big scrapes.
Yeah.
Just he grunting. So one deer getting worked up can put down a lot of sign.
That's
That's
true.
my point.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, and this area that I was talking about for me, it's traditional, like to have all these scrapes over there. I mean, I feel like there's more this year than there has been in years past, but that's why I went over to go check it out because it's like it's right there. In fact, I walked over and my buddy's uh, Toyota 4Runner's parked right there. When he got out of his vehicle, he didn't even know he parked almost on top of two scrapes. Like he got out and like was right in two scrapes. That's how
Yeah.
close they are to this pole building, right where we park when we enter in from the north side of the property. It's just crazy, but
Well, you got the right mindset. When something like that goes on year to year, you need to throw a camera on and find out what's going on,
yeah.
and leave it on there for the whole time period.
Hmm.
Even if you're not hunting, I mean, find out what's going on. For me, the biggest thing about a camera is not what it does for you for hunting; it's what it does for your mind. I
Yeah, the
mean,
information.
you run into so many situations where, I mean, even the questions we're getting were like, what happens here? What about this? What about that? Every situation is different. They might be scraping over here because of this. They might be doing this because of that. You put a camera there and you find out. Because it seems to be that most of these spots, if they're undisturbed, it happens year to year. Not all of them, but
No,
most of
I
them.
think no, I think you're right. And that makes perfect sense too, because it's an area that's really difficult to hunt, and it gets primarily undisturbed almost the entire year, other than when that somebody's going in and out of that pole building, the owner, which is not too often, but uses it kind of just as storage.
Hmm.
But at the same time, I'm sure they're also used to that too.
Right.
Like he's just right there. He's not kind of all around the building or anything like that. He's going into it, getting something out, parking something in there, whatever, and they're probably completely unfazed, and oftentimes betting very close. I would imagine.
Hmm.
It's one of those overlooked spots, right, Dan?
Yep. Hmm.
But sometimes those are tougher to hunt too.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
sometimes you find those by the building, and those deer are there at 9, 10 o'clock at night or later. They're gone before daylight because it's so close to the building. And sometimes you find it where they're there all day long because nobody's hunting by the building. It might be
yeah,
the fat girl spot, it might not, but that's part of the allure of the fat girl spot. It's a spot that doesn't look like it should have deer.
yeah,
So the only way to really know is to test that theory. And you can do it two ways. You can throw a camera there, or you throw a hunt at it. You
hmm,
know, throwing the camera there is a little risky because you throw scent there.
right,
You know what I'm saying? Where if you just throw a hunt at it, you catch them off guard because they expect the scent to be going in and out of the building. They expect the farmer to go in and out of the building. They don't expect them to walk up to the tree line, look at the scrapes, or walk into the trees.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
So,
thought
so
about that.
yeah.
Goats, firewood, and farms. Dan, November 15th, Northern Michigan rifle season. How do you go about getting on the deer in 7 days of hunting?
Northern Michigan rifle season, big woods, I would imagine, right?
Yep.
So I would probably, if I'd never been there before and I went in there blind, I would probably look for swamps, and I'd probably look for remote areas of swamps and walk around them and just keep checking spots like islands, points, fingers until I ran into action. The good thing about a gun is you can scout with it. You can scout whether you got a gun in your hand.
Right.
I've done a lot of that, and I've done pretty good shooting deer while I'm scouting. Because instead of just looking at an area to see if it's good, you kind of sneak in there and see if there's something there. But yeah, I would just check out the points, check out the oxbows, check out any place you think a deer would be hiding and laying up. Anything you think is overlooked or too remote for other people to get to, and I would just get on foot and go find them.
That's good advice. Yeah, and like you said, it can actually be pretty fun doing some scouting like that, and with the rifle. You're not tracking or whatever, but you're looking for sign, and you never know what's going to happen, what you can come across and have an opportunity at. Been
Yep.
there, done that plenty of times. All right. I don't see any other real questions here. Just a lot of people commenting in the chat. Any other thoughts that you have in terms of the rut this season? Anything else? Any other?
No, but I was thinking about Goats, Firewood, and Farms. Not just his crazy name, but I saw he said he doesn't have any swamps. You could look at clear cuts to the downwind sides. What you got to remember is the bucks tend to bed those downwind sides inside the cover, looking at the open woods. So creeping right on the edge or in a way where you're trying not to expose yourself is good. But creeping those with a gun is a pretty good method, I think. You just got to be able to shoot a running deer if they jump up, right?
Right. Yeah, you got to be. Yeah, you got to be quick. What do you like to use? Do you like to use your AR in those situations when you're doing that?
Probably my 30-06.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, pump 30-06 I got. I like that a lot for that situation.
sure.
The AR, the reason I use that is for um, drives, is because you're in a set position as a running deer, and you need to get 5, 6 shots off, and there might be another deer that runs out that's a target animal. You got to get some more shots off,
Mm-hmm.
and it's nice to not have to change mags or whatever. But I'd really rather hit them with a 30-06. And when they jump out of a bed or something, you're lucky to get two or three shots off at most.
Yeah.
Usually it's one, you know. But I do pretty good on running deer with a rifle. I always have.
So have I.
Just
I've,
don't put.
I've at least gotten lucky, anyways. Quite a few times, to be honest. But yeah, that
Yeah,
was.
I was thinking about it. I was thinking, I've got close to 50 wall mounted bucks now,
Mhm.
and I would say I'd probably have a bigger and better wall if I had the ones that got away than the ones I got.
Yeah.
It's pathetic. I'm letting that buck get in my head.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, but I mean, you of all people know that that's just it's one of those things that happen.
Yeah, I thought I had everything under control. I mean, I've been shooting so good. Yeah.
Alex says, Dan, what hunts do you have in store this fall? Where will you be traveling? I know we kind
Uh,
of talked about this, but maybe Alex missed that.
yeah, secret on the next big one. But I will be in Massachusetts for the Legends Hunt, which is a pretty short hunt. It's 3 days with a muzzle loader in a place I've never been. Um, but I'll be hunting with Lanny Benoit and Rick Lobby and a couple people who won the hunts with us. And that should be fun. But I don't know how well I'm going to do hunting wise. Eric's coming with me on that one.
Hmm.
I'm probably going to do a challenge here in Wisconsin, um, which I won't participate in. I'll probably just help with because I'm tagged out. But that could make it funner because I can give some people some tips. But we'll probably have some people here at my place, and we'll do a challenge hunt here. There's a whole bunch of public property around here, so that'll be
Yeah.
fun. It's possible that I get up to the UP or something, but I don't know. Kansas is pulling at me.
Yeah, that one's gonna haunt you if you don't get back down there at least and give it another shot. That's for sure. I
Right.
mean, like I said, that's just a sequence of circumstances that just kind of screw everything up. I mean, do you feel like you probably would have spent more time out in the woods if you weren't having to go back and forth into town to try to get service and check these
Absolutely.
emails and make these calls?
I would have been spending more time in the woods, and I would have spent more time down there if it weren't for the issues, having to get back, having to take care of the truck, and all that crap.
Yeah.
I don't have no doubt I would have ended up shooting a deer by the end of the week.
Sure. Catfish Josh at 93 asked me how my season's been going, and it's been going kind of slow, honestly. A lot different than what I'm used to be honest. I think I mentioned it earlier in the show that things kind of really turned off this last weekend for me, but now they're starting to ramp up again. I had plenty of opportunities at some nice bucks in September, which is often the case for me, and I tend to pass in hopes that other bucks that I've had on camera or just kind of what I know is in the area or just a wanderer is going to come in and it's going to be bigger even and better. But I often come to regret those situations as the season moves on. But I'm still very optimistic. I've got a lot of season left. I'll be gone. I'm heading out Thursday again, so I'll be up for another 4 days, maybe 5, and then the following weekend, and then it's nug season here in Wisconsin, and then we move on to muzzleloader and late season. So plenty of opportunities, but really hoping to see things ramp up here this next week for sure. All right. I don't see any other questions, and I feel like this is a good enough spot as any to wrap up the show. What do you think, Dan?
Sounds good to me.
So plan is we'll be back next week Tuesday as of now, unless Dan finds himself stuck in Kansas again.
Yeah, who knows what'll break next or where I'll end up broken down or.
Right. Absolutely. Well, hopefully that's not the case, but
Oh, I got one funny story for you. I don't think I said.
oh
I
yeah,
think I
well, let's hear it.
did. When I got the person from on the phone from UShip,
Yeah.
this Asian lady, I had to give her all my information, and she got to the point of a valid email where she'd get a hold of me, and she says, "I need your email," and I'm like, I had to give it to her, and I had to give her one I have on my phone, so it was the Big Buck Serial Killer at gmail.com. I had it on speakerphone, so everybody's listening. They're kind of chuckling in the restaurant, right? And there's a moment of silence, like the phone goes dead, and I was just about starting to wonder if she was still there, and all of a sudden she says, "What kind of serial killer?"
Of the big buck variety. Oh, that's too funny. The comments just keep rolling in here. All right. Yes. We'll see you guys next week Tuesday if the stars align. I don't see why not, but like you said, maybe Dan will be in Kansas yet. One way or another, we'll be back with you guys real soon. Thanks for tuning in. If you guys haven't yet subscribed and you're just kind of a lurker watching the show from time to time, can't hurt to hit subscribe. We appreciate it. Numbers are going up. We're getting closer and closer to that 100,000 mark, and that's definitely going to help us out immensely with getting this show out to the masses. So keep it up, guys. We appreciate all of you as always, and we'll see you guys real soon.
Next week we can talk about